watching Germantown Municipal Television, your source for everything Germantown.
Hello, and welcome to On the Beat on Germantown Municipal Television. I'm your host, Rodney Bright, Deputy Chief of the Germantown Police Department. On this show, we will provide you, the viewers, with a look behind the scenes at policing in Germantown and introduce you to some of the men and women who work hard to keep Germantown one of the safest cities in Tennessee. We also hope to provide information related to public safety in a manner useful to our entire community. Today, I'm glad to welcome Colonel Darrell Sheffield from the Memphis Police Department to the show for our partnership segment. Later, we will speak to Raymond Chiozza, the Director of the Shelby County 911 District, about the emergency communications system utilized by public safety agencies in our area. Finally, we will speak to Captain Angie Blankenship about the many police department outreach programs and how we support special events in our city. But first, I'm pleased to welcome Colonel Sheffield to the show. Colonel, welcome to the show, and thanks so much for being here.
Thanks, sir. Glad to have the opportunity to be here.
One thing that we try to do on our show regularly is talk about some of our partnerships that we have with other law enforcement agencies in the area. But before we get too deep into that, just by way of introduction to our viewers, can you tell us a little bit about your career at MPD and where you are today?
Yes, sir. I started with the Memphis Police Department in 1986. I've been with the department about going on 32 years now, worked from a PST to this point.
And there's been a lot of changes, I'm sure, in MPD during those years, many positive and some other challenges as well. I know that you're the commander of the Appling Farms precinct, and when we talk about partnerships, we certainly, you really are our neighbor when it comes to our jurisdiction, and we do a lot of things together, we work together, and we share a border together. Can you tell a little bit about, Appling Farms and the area that you provide police service to?
Yes, the Appling Farm Station is one of 9 police stations that we have. It's one of the largest that there is. The station itself is about 56 square miles, about 120,000 residents, bordering not only Germantown, we border Bartlett, we border 3 other of the stations that are there, and then the rest of the unincorporated Shelby County. So we're pretty big.
It's almost like a small city in and of itself.
If you compare it to some small cities, we're bigger than some small cities with probably fewer people working it.
And I know with challenges that we have in our area and the surrounding agencies in Shelby County and really the Mid-South, can you talk a little bit about some of the things that you guys focus on, some of the current issues that you're trying to address? I know one for us is related to some of our property crimes.
Yes, one of the good things and bad together is that Appling Farms is not plagued with a lot of personal crimes, robberies and that type. However, we have a large number of property crimes which include theft from motor vehicle thefts, home burglaries. One of the main ones that we deal with is theft from motor vehicles, and which we're always combating that. The good thing is, being on Germantown's border, my detectives and task force and officers work hand in hand with the Germantown police detectives and officers to combat that crime. And most of the time, if we have someone doing those, they're doing on both sides, so we're combating on both ends.
And I think that's an important note for our viewers to understand, is that we deal a lot with the same kind of issues and sometimes with the same people, and jurisdiction lines sometimes can be blurred, in the eyes of a criminal or somebody that wants to commit a theft. Talking about thefts from vehicles specifically, I know that's a challenge for every one of us in our area. Now that you guys have some programs or some initiatives, and a part of it is you want to educate our public about how not to be a victim, you know, as much as you can. Could you speak a little bit about, you know, some of your programs?
One of the main Memphis Police Department programs to try to combat theft from motor vehicles, any motor vehicle thefts and that, would be our Stow It, Don't Show It program. There's a number of brochures available. We try to push that all in neighborhood watches and whatnot, which it asks you to be aware of your surroundings. And a lot of people use the Appling Farms area as shopping because there's a large corridor around Poplar and then the Germantown corridor that people shop at. And we ask, if you're coming out there, if you buy this or that, stow it in the trunk before you go somewhere else. A lot of times people that break into cars watch what's going on, and if you put something in the back or you have something, they watch you, so they go in and get it. And ladies, if you don't carry your purse away from the car, you need to carry something, because if they don't see you leave with the purse, it's probably in the car.
I know that not only are thefts from vehicles a challenge for us, you know, in our commercial areas and shopping areas, but I know sometimes that spills out into the neighborhoods, and we'll have different incidents where people going around, you know, just looking in the cars and whatnot. What kind of advice do you give your folks up in Cordova and Appling Farms about how they can better secure their stuff, or maybe not make themselves a victim while they're at home?
Well, in the neighborhood watches, we continue to push the Stow It, Don't Show It. So if there's not anything in the car, the groups that do the canvassing the neighborhood, if you would, they walk through pulling on door handles to see if there's any open doors. There's nothing in the car. I suggest if you leave your car open, leave nothing in it. They'll even steal the chains out of your console. People that specifically need to be careful, ones that carry guns. I have nothing against guns being carried. However, when the state law allowed you to carry guns in there, they didn't say anything about securing it. You have to do that on your own. So people target those vehicles, trucks mostly, that are having guns left in them. Do not leave your gun unsecured at all, ever.
And I think that's fantastic advice. You know, just, you know, being responsible, certainly with firearms in today's day and age. You know, the last thing that any of us want is for a firearm to get into the wrong hands of someone. Just by the way of community support, I know that there's a program started in Germantown. I just wanted to ask you about real quick. I know you guys also have seen the fruits of that, and that's the Cop Stop program. Could you speak a little bit about how that's impacted your precinct?
The Cop Stops, when it started, it did several things. It got the officers into the houses of the people. And I've always said, meet the people that you are working for, and it makes it easier to do your job. Plus, it gives a little morale boost, because a lot of times police officers feel like there's actually nobody supporting them. And that's it's a tangible way that people show their support for the police, and it increases morale. Plus, a lot of the ladies that do it, they do it habitually. They have days that's their day, and the officers look forward to that day, and they actually do very good meals. It's not usually snacks. Some of them do whole spreads.
I know it's just been fantastic for our department as well, and it's like you said, it really is a morale boost for those that are out there serving and working hard. As you wrap up here, is there any other way that somebody, if they have wanted more information about crime in Appling Farms in that area, where they could go for that information?
Well, we ask them if they have something to say it. You know, that if you see it, say it. A lot of times you're passing and it kind of looks odd to you, and you just go, somebody else will report it. No, you go ahead and report it. There's several ways. We have the 911 if it's emergency, and then we have the precinct. You can always call the precinct and have that, and then you've got other outlets to call in and leave a tip.
Great. I think all of that is really good information for our viewers, whether you live in Germantown or Cordova or the surrounding areas. And I think it's important to, you know, it is a partnership, not just between our agencies, but between us and the people we serve. And, you know, I think it takes all of us to work together to keep our areas safe. So thank you for that. Thank you for coming on and sharing with us today.
I agree. Thank you.
It's time to take a short break. When we return, we will speak with Director Raymond Chiozza about the public safety role of his agency, the Shelby County 911 District. Please stay tuned.
Taking care of a family member can lead to plenty of questions. Fortunately, there's a place to get the answers, for them and for you. Find articles, tips, and tools from experts and others who have been in your place. The Caregiving Resource Center at aarp.org/caregiving.
See on page 4 that the projections need to be tornado next Thursday.
Seriously? Thursday? Can't do that.
This is really inconvenient.
I have yoga that day.
I have no time for this.
So.
I can't do Thursday, but I can do Friday.
Disasters don't plan ahead. You can. Talk to your loved ones about how you're going to be ready in an emergency. Don't wait. Communicate.
You are watching Germantown Municipal Television, your source for everything Germantown.
Welcome back to On the Beat. The Germantown Police Department responds to emergency calls for service that are often received via the emergency 911 system. Here to discuss the 911 system is Raymond Chiozza, Director of Shelby County 911. Mr. Chiozza, welcome and thanks for joining us and sharing a little bit about something that's really, really important to those people that we serve in Shelby County, about how they get emergency service. So just by way of introduction, I know you've been in your role for a little while, but what did you do before you got to Shelby County 911?
Well, I started off with Memphis Fire Department. I was hired when I was 18 years old and hired into Fire Communications, the fire alarm office. It's a dispatch office for the fire department, and I spent 26 and a half years there and learned everything on the job and ended up retiring as the Chief of Fire Communications for the City of Memphis. And I retired when they accepted me to apply for the job as a 911 director for Shelby County 911 District, and went ahead and retired and took on this job. And that was back in 2000. I've been doing this since for about 17 and a half years now.
I know that 911 is really just probably become just the way of life when people think they need service from a public safety agency, and maybe sometimes we take for granted, you know, how easy that is and all the things that allows us to do. Can you speak just a little bit about just the role of Shelby County 911 as it relates to the emergency telephone procedures?
Sure. The Shelby County Emergency Communications Districts of Shelby County, we provide all of the call-taking equipment in each of the dispatch centers. In Shelby County, we have 6 primary dispatch centers and 2 secondary dispatch centers, and we have 6 backup dispatch centers. And so, say for instance, in the city of Memphis, they have a primary dispatch center. When you dial 911, it's Memphis Police answers the call. And they'll ask the caller, do you have a police, fire, ambulance emergency? If it's fire or EMS, they'll conference in the Memphis Fire Department, which is the secondary PSAP dispatch center. And the same thing goes with the Shelby County Sheriff's Office and Shelby County Fire Department. So that's where we have 6 primary dispatch centers and we have 2 secondary. And then most of the municipalities have a backup PSAP in case they have to work in the other one, or if there's a failure of some type, they can go to their backup and operate out of there. So we provide all the call taking equipment and call processing equipment. We provide mapping, necessary mapping that we also hand off to the various municipalities to put in their computer-aided dispatch systems in each of the dispatch centers.
I know that it's a very robust operation, and you talked about redundancy, and I know for our department just recently we had to move to our backup center, so it ought to give everyone comfort to know not only if they have an emergency they can call us and we'll be there to answer, but even we may have an issue, we do have a backup plan and sometimes a backup to the backup. So I know early on when you called 911 from your house, most people had a house phone, but it seems like in today's society that may be becoming a little less normal. Can you speak to a little bit of the challenge maybe as technology's grown, the challenges that have come with it?
Yes. In today's world, probably about 80 to 85% of the calls that come in the dispatch center come in from a wireless device. It used to be the exact opposite, where it was all a landline call, to to where it got just a few wireless calls. Now in today's world, it's probably about 80%, 85% of the calls are wireless calls that enter in. Some of the times you get an issue with that where if you're on a border for a municipality or a different county or a different state, the wireless tower may be located in a different municipal boundary. And so that tower may get that call and it may route to the incorrect dispatch center. So that dispatch center will have to transfer it back to the correct dispatch center it was intended for. Sometimes it's a misroute, but that's just the world of how it works in today's world. Hopefully in the future it'll work a little different and be better.
You know, there's a lot of discussion, professionally around law enforcement and some of the stuff that I see. I know cell phones are very prevalent, as you just mentioned. Where do you see the next challenge coming from? I hear there's some talk about text to 911.
Yeah, hopefully in the next year to year and a half we'll have texting to 911 here in the state of Tennessee. The State of Tennessee Emergency Communications Board, they will be rolling that out after they complete a state network. They're actually working on completing converting all of our old copper camera trunks to IP technology, and once that's completed, then they'll take on the text to 911, which comes shortly after that. So that'll be another item that will benefit citizens too if they're in that need where they have to text and cannot talk.
Are there any preliminary work being done by you all just to get the agencies ready for that?
We've been through the years. We try and keep all of our equipment, our call processing equipment, fairly up to date. We updated all of our servers back about 3 years ago. We're in the process of updating them now. We have Airbus Vesta, and we just completed upgrading Vesta to Vesta 7 at the City of Memphis PSAP centers, dispatch centers, and we're starting to do the other ones over the next year and a half. We'll be upgrading those. That will position us for the text to 911.
Well, I know in our jurisdiction we set goals for our call takers and our dispatchers to answer those 911 calls just in a few seconds. And I know that sometimes, like you mentioned, there may be a call, someone in Germantown that goes to another agency. Can you speak briefly about the success that, in speaking to MPD, about what they've been able to achieve?
Yes. Most of our PSAPs have been, there's a national standard. This National Emergency Number Association has a standard, and the National Fire Protection Association has a standard. And they're basically pretty close of, during the busiest hour of the day, you want to answer your calls, 90% of them within 10 seconds or 20 seconds. There's a different standard rating in there. And the City of Memphis over the last 15 months have improved drastically over what it has been. And they're answering within the national standard now. The 911 district, we have a board of directors, and the board of directors, several years ago, we obtained ECATS, which is a reporting. And that reporting gave out a lot of statistics on the calls, the number of calls, and the answer times. And that goes out every morning to all the leaders in the public safety fields for all the municipalities and government leaders, and we believe that had a drastic effect of showing actually in black and white the statistics for each municipality, and it brought to light all of them, their performance daily on how they operate.
I know one motto for our department is continuous improvement, and it certainly sounds like you guys have done that with the MPD. And as we wrap up here, just want to thank you for the leadership of Shelby County 911, and just a huge value and asset to those departments in our area that provide public safety service. So thank you for that, and continued good luck in meeting the challenges of technology.
You're welcome, Chief Bright.
Thank you. It's time to take another short break. When we return, Captain Angie Blankenship will join us to talk about community outreach programs and special events. We'll be right back.
So there you are, shuffling through a stack of resumes, and you come to mine. This is it, first impression, my way in. But can my resume show you how I truly stand out? Like that I was studying, going to night school while working 2 jobs just to help my parents pay for groceries. Or being the first one to always step up. No, that's something you just can't put on paper. Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent that is dedicated, hardworking, and determined like me.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb. But if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Underage drinking and driving. The ultimate party foul.
You are watching Germantown Municipal Television, your source for everything Germantown.
Welcome back to On the Beat. I'm your host, Deputy Chief Rodney Bright. One key component of keeping our community safe is education. The department conducts and participates in many outreach programs throughout the year. We also provide resources to the many special events that occur in our city. Here to talk about these programs and those events is Captain Angie Blankenship. First, welcome to the show, and appreciate you coming on and sharing with us a little bit. Just tell our viewers a little bit about your career with the Germantown Police Department.
Well, I'm currently in police services, and I'm over special events, public relations, training, hiring staff, a lot of different avenues, but one of our biggest things that we focus on is community programs and education.
I think some may not see a lot of things that come out of your area of responsibility. I know it's kind of maybe the unsung heroes at sometimes, but it certainly plays a critical role for us. And I guess now more than ever, we're doing a lot to try to educate our community about not only how to keep themselves safe, but also how they can get involved and be that stakeholder and be that partner with us. Can you talk a little bit about some of the outreach things that we're doing or that we have planned?
Well, we always have our Citizens Police Academy at least once a year, sometimes twice. We also have reserves in our division that work a lot of these special events. When you see these officers out there, a lot of them are reserves that are giving their time back to the city. We handle a lot of the races and special events around the city. And we also do a lot of outreach programs, like we post a couple times a week on Nextdoor little tips about making your home safe or your personal safety or being out in public. We also have programs for the schools like Eddie Eagle, which is gun safety, and McGruff, which is stranger danger. Everybody's aware of that. And in the summer, we run a week-long program called Safety City for 5- and 6-year-olds to teach them about safety issues.
I know we were just speaking earlier to Colonel Sheffield from MPD about some of our property crimes and whatnot, and I think a big part of that prevention and that deterrence comes out of your office. Can you talk a little bit about how we communicate with our residents, maybe through Neighborhood Watch or different meetings? And
we do. We try to attend as many homeowner association meetings as we can when they have them to talk about safety. We also send things to the homeowner associations about things that are going on in their neighborhood or questions that they might have. We try to answer those through social media or direct contact. We attend just about any kind of public forum that we're asked to be at. March the 1st, we're actually hosting a crime prevention forum. It'll be in the council chambers at City Hall, and it will be focusing on our hotels and our assisted living facilities.
Those are just great opportunities for some of our residents to get more in the know about crime in their area and things that we offer. In the area of special events, we're getting close to that time of year where the weather's going to hopefully get better, and we'll be out there supporting special events. Can you speak a little bit about our role and as far maybe even planning and?
Well, we're very involved in the planning aspect of it, and we do a lot of the traffic control and safety issues that go on for everything from the Christmas parade to we have coming up the Mayor's Cup, 5K and 1 mile run, and then which is always a big event where we close streets and all that for that event. And we also have the Color Run, which benefits our schools, coming up at the end of April, and you'll see us very involved in those.
And I know we have the city is known for its volunteerism. There's a lot of committees and commissions and groups that provide some oversight. And I know there's one as far as public safety. Can you speak about that just for a minute, about the role of that?
Yes, I serve on the Public Safety Education Commission, and what we do is they support us doing community outreach programs, and they're very involved with like Safety City, a lot of programs in the schools, a lot of programs that we do out there to the public to educate homeowners and businesses as well.
When it comes to the actual events itself, is there a way that we go about letting our residents know, hey, look out, you mentioned the Mayor's Cup 5K and events, or is there a way we can, people pay attention to, hey, be on the lookout for some information about this event?
Yeah, we put it out through the HOAs. They send it out to all their membership, and we also do a media, we put out media about street closings, the times of the event, and that sort of thing.
If someone wanted to get involved in some things we do, or they had questions, how would they go about doing that?
They can contact me or Lieutenant McGee in public or police services at the Germantown Police Department.
And just as we wrap up here, you mentioned one thing I think is important, that we always get a lot of positive feedback, and that's at Citizens Police Academy. Can you speak just about that relationship, how that's cultivated over the years and how it's been such a benefit for us?
Well, our Citizens Police Academy, they're some of our best ambassadors. The people that come through that program learn about every aspect of our department, what we do. They do ride-alongs with an officer during that program, and then it's a 7-week program, and at the end of that, they get a certificate. And they're some of our best ambassadors out there to tell people about what we do in the department on every level.
Well, I know obviously that the Uniform Patrol Division is the most visible division for our department, but like I said before, I think the work that comes out of your office and community outreach and special events and those kind of things are critical to what we're trying to accomplish with our department. So thank you for serving in that role. Thank you for coming on today, and I just encourage anyone that had any questions or need more information to reach out to you. So thank you. That's all the time we have for this edition of On the Beat. Stay tuned to us throughout the year as we spotlight public safety programs and partnerships and bring you interviews with the people who strive to make Germantown a safe place to live, work, and play. If you'd like more information on this show or any other show on Germantown Municipal Television, please visit www.gmtvonline.org. If you have questions about policing in Germantown or topics you would like for us to discuss, feel free to send those by email to my attention at rbright@germantown-tn.gov. We'll see you when On the Beat returns next month.